Stop everything, breathe. Now think, how many times have you let yourself be dominated by fear, panic, by the anxiety that eats away at your mind? And what if I told you that all of this can change? And fast. Yes, you heard that right. This is not empty theory, not forgotten advice from some old book. Learn and overcome anxiety with Stoicism. You will discover the key to mastering your mind before it masters you. The truth that almost no one tells you is shocking. Anxiety is not your enemy. It is an alert that you are living on autopilot. But there is an ancient path, proven by time, that transforms this alert into pure strength. Imagine facing any challenge, any criticism, any pressure, and remaining calm, firm, unshakable. Does it sound impossible? It's not. And I am going to show you exactly how. Picture yourself trapped in a whirlwind of thoughts that never stop, a mind that never rests, always anticipating danger and inventing problems that often don't even exist. This is the reality of millions of people living with anxiety. And maybe it's yours too. Modern science has already proven that anxiety is directly linked to overstimulation and the inability to live in the present moment. But what if there were a practical, simple, and scientifically effective philosophy that showed us how to regain control of the mind and cultivate calm in the midst of chaos? That's where Stoicism comes in, an ancient philosophy that is not empty theory or outdated advice from forgotten books, but a practical tool that has gained traction even among psychologists and neuroscientists. In this video, you will learn 10 powerful lessons to master anxiety with Stoicism, lessons that will teach you not only how to stop overthinking, but how to live with clarity, courage and purpose so that your mind works for you and not against you. Get ready to break patterns, to question everything you believed about control, fear, and serenity. We will learn what once seemed impossible and turn it into routine, into daily practice, into real power. Each lesson in this video is a step forward. If you are ready to never again feel like a prisoner of your own mind, stay with me. Lesson number 1. Accept what you cannot control. The first lesson begins with the central distinction of Stoicism, learning to separate what is within our control from what is not. One of the greatest sources of anxiety is the illusion of control. The mind runs from one side to another, trying to predict the future, avoid mistakes, guarantee that everything turns out perfect. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Most things do not depend on you. The weather, other people's decisions, the financial market, even how someone interprets your words, none of that is in your hands. When you understand the difference between what can and cannot be changed, the weight falls from your shoulders. Acceptance is not giving up. It is choosing to spend your energy wisely. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine someone stuck in traffic on the way to an interview. What can be done? They can't magically open up the roads, nor can they speed up the clock. But they can take a deep breath, play an inspiring audio, mentally review their answers, or even accept that they will arrive late and use that moment to show flexibility. This shift of focus from the uncontrollable to the controllable is the essence of Stoicism applied to daily life. The same applies to bigger things, like the end of a relationship. You cannot force someone to stay, but you can decide how to deal with the pain, with dignity and learning. Stoicism teaches that anxiety arises when we try to control the uncontrollable. By focusing only on what is under our control, our reactions and attitudes, we can significantly reduce stress. Studies show that this approach improves mental health and increases the sense of well-being. Research conducted at Birkbeck University, London, demonstrated that cognitive training based on Stoic principles reduced emotional vulnerability in individuals at risk of anxiety and depression. The curious thing is that when a person stops fighting what they cannot control, energy is left to act with clarity on what truly matters. And this is the point where anxiety begins to lose strength. After all, those who waste energy battling the impossible end up exhausted, but those who redirect that energy toward the possible discover real power. This mindset shift is the first step in the 10 lessons for a tranquil mind. And believe me, this is only the tip of the iceberg. The next lesson reveals how to transform your mind into a fortress against the invisible attacks of everyday life. Lesson number 2, turn anxiety into practical action. Anxiety, when not understood, becomes an invisible monster that steals nights of sleep and drains your energy. But Stoicism teaches something powerful. Every signal of anxiety can be seen as a call to action. Instead of suffocating your heart trying to push fear away, use that force to act. Imagine someone worried about their finances. Instead of repeating, "I'm going to go broke," the Stoic transforms that tension into movement, cutting unnecessary expenses, creating a budget spreadsheet, looking for new sources of income. Anxiety is misdirected energy. When you channel it into what can be done now, it dissolves. It's like using fire to cook instead of letting it burn your house down. The secret is to turn every anxious thought into a question. What can I do in this moment? This simple change breaks the cycle of rumination and creates clarity. Anxiety does not disappear by magic, but it loses its control. And when the mind learns this trick, it is ready for the next lesson, strengthening mental discipline through simple daily rituals. Accepting reality as it is, without resistance, is fundamental to inner peace. Acceptance reduces anxiety by lowering the internal struggle against what we cannot change. Research indicates that this practice is associated with lower levels of anxiety and depression. Psychotherapist Donald J. Robertson highlights that the acceptance of emotions, rather than fighting them, is an effective strategy for reducing anxiety. Lesson number 3. Focus on the present, not the future. Much of anxiety is born from imagining future scenarios, as if the mind were a broken crystal ball. Stoicism teaches that power lies in the now, in the present moment, because it is the only place where you can truly act. Breathing deeply, observing, and putting full attention on the task in front of you is a powerful weapon against the fear of what has not yet happened. Think of someone studying for an important exam. If they spend all their time imagining failure or a bad grade, they won't learn anything. But by concentrating on each chapter, on each exercise, results naturally appear. The mind stops chasing ghosts and starts building real outcomes. Simple techniques, such as writing down 3 tasks for the day or practicing mindful breathing for 5 minutes, reinforce this sense of presence. Being present also means noticing small victories that usually go unnoticed. A savored cup of coffee, a step taken down the street, a sincere conversation, all of these strengthen the mind and lessen the fear of the future. This habit sets the stage for the next lesson, which teaches us how to reframe negative thoughts into learning and strength, taking the practice of overcoming anxiety with Stoicism even further. Meditating on the finitude of life helps us value the present and reduce the fear of the future. This Stoic practice decreases anxiety by reminding us of the impermanence of things. Studies suggest that awareness of death can increase gratitude and appreciation for life. Research published in the Springer Journal indicates that Stoic acceptance of death is associated with reduced death-related anxiety and improved overall mental health. Lesson number 4. Reframe negative thoughts. The human mind loves to create disaster stories that often don't exist. Thoughts like, "I will fail" or "I'm not enough" grow like weeds. Stoicism teaches us to observe these thoughts without identifying with them. turning fear into an opportunity for learning. A powerful exercise is to write down negative thoughts and then question them. Is this a fact or just an assumption? For example, if someone thinks they will be rejected in a meeting, they can list evidence of their skills and achievements. This restructuring creates emotional distance and opens space for conscious action. Small actions like this reinforce that the mind is not an enemy, but an ally when well directed. The impact of this practice goes beyond controlling fear. It strengthens confidence and mental clarity. When a person realizes they can choose their thoughts, they feel real freedom. And this awareness is the bridge to the next lesson, which shows how to cultivate daily habits that shield the mind against distractions and stress, deepening even further. Stoicism teaches us to classify events as external and internal, with only our virtues and attitudes being truly good or bad. This distinction helps reduce anxiety by focusing on self-control. Research indicates that this perspective improves mental health and emotional resilience. Philosopher Massimo Pigliucci, professor at City College of New York, emphasizes that concentrating our energy on areas where we have the greatest control can help us face periods of high stress. Lesson number 5. Create daily rituals of mental discipline. Stoicism reminds us that the mind, just like the body, needs daily training. Small morning or evening rituals work as strength exercises for clarity and emotional balance. Meditating for 5 minutes, writing down thoughts, or planning the day are practices that anchor the mind to what truly matters. Imagine waking up and, before checking social media, writing down 3 intentions for the day. This simple gesture gives control over what you can change, preventing scattered thoughts from dominating your mood. Another example. At the end of the day, reflecting on actions and emotions strengthens learning and awareness, preparing the mind for future challenges. Small, consistent actions create a huge impact over time. These rituals also serve as invisible armor. When unexpected problems arise, the trained mind reacts with clarity, not panic. Each daily habit becomes a point of reference to maintain balance, even in moments of chaos. And this stability prepares us for the next lesson, which reveals how to cultivate Stoic gratitude as a powerful tool against anxiety. Living in accordance with virtues such as wisdom, courage, and justice is central to Stoicism. This practice reduces anxiety by providing a sense of purpose and integrity. Studies show that living in alignment with personal values is associated with lower stress levels and greater life satisfaction. Psychotherapist Donald J. Robertson observes that the practice of virtue strengthens the mind and reduces emotional vulnerability. Lesson number 6. Cultivate gratitude daily. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for calming the anxious mind. Stoicism teaches that by valuing what we already have, we reduce the obsession with what is missing or what might go wrong. A simple daily exercise of listing 3 things you are grateful for already begins to transform your perspective. For example, at the end of the day, someone might write down a tasty coffee, a sincere conversation, a completed task. These small recognitions shift the mind toward abundance instead of scarcity. Another method is to give thanks mentally upon waking, even if the day looks difficult, creating a positive emotional predisposition to face challenges. Gratitude changes the internal narrative. When gratitude becomes a habit, anxiety loses its grip. It doesn't disappear, but it stops dominating your thoughts. With that, you begin to perceive life with clarity and balance, opening the door to the next lesson. Controlling difficult emotions, such as anger and fear in a Stoic way, strengthening yourself even more. Facing challenges as opportunities for growth strengthens the mind. Stoicism teaches us to see difficulties as exercises to develop virtue. Research indicates that this growth mindset is associated with greater resilience and lower anxiety. Writer Ben Aldridge shares his personal experience, highlighting how the practice of confronting adversity helped him reduce his anxiety and increase his confidence. Lesson number 7, control your emotions, not events. Many people believe that controlling everything around them brings peace, but Stoicism teaches the opposite. You do not control events, but you can control how you react to them. Anger, fear, and frustration naturally arise, but the key is to observe these feelings without letting them take the wheel. Imagine a conflict situation at work. Instead of exploding or responding impulsively, take a deep breath and assess the facts. Ask yourself, what can I do that's useful right now? This simple pause transforms emotional chaos into rational action. Even small, everyday situations, like family arguments or waiting in line at the supermarket, can become laboratories to train the mind and maintain calm. When you learn to respond instead of react, you create space for conscious choices. Each decision made with clarity strengthens inner confidence and reduces future anxiety. This ability paves the way for the next lesson, which teaches how to face criticism and external judgment without losing serenity. Anxiety often arises from the attempt to control the uncontrollable. Stoicism teaches that we should focus on our reactions, not on external events. Studies show that this approach improves emotional regulation and reduces anxiety. Psychotherapist Donald J. Robertson emphasizes that accepting emotions rather than fighting them is an effective strategy to reduce anxiety. Lesson number 8. Face criticism and judgment with wisdom. Criticism and other people's opinions can be major anxiety triggers, but Stoicism teaches that no one can touch our mind without our permission. What others think or say about you is a reflection of them, not of your reality. By internalizing this, you create an invisible shield against judgment. Practicing this requires awareness. For example, if a colleague criticizes your work, instead of reacting emotionally, breathe, evaluate if there is anything constructive in the criticism, and discard the rest. You decide what you absorb and what you reject. Another method is to write your feelings in a journal and separate facts from interpretations, reinforcing your control over the emotional impact of external events. This skill not only reduces anxiety, but also strengthens self-esteem and mental clarity. When you understand that the power over your mind lies within you, criticism becomes learning instead of wounds. And this realization sets the stage for the next lesson, cultivating patience and resilience in the face of daily challenges. Stoicism teaches us not to be shaken by external criticism, as it reflects more about the other than about ourselves. This practice strengthens self-esteem and reduces social anxiety. Research indicates that acceptance of criticism is associated with greater psychological well-being. Philosopher Massimo Pigliucci emphasizes that focusing our energy on the areas where we have the most control can help us face criticism and judgment with wisdom. Lesson number 9. Develop patience and resilience. Modern life constantly tests us, and anxiety grows when we want immediate results. Stoicism teaches that everything has its time, and that patience is a powerful weapon. Learning to wait, to endure small frustrations, and to keep going with discipline strengthens the mind. A practical example is dealing with delays or setbacks. Instead of freaking out or complaining, take a deep breath, observe what can be done now, and adjust your plan. Another exercise is to create micro-daily challenges, such as completing a difficult task without procrastinating, thereby strengthening patience and emotional resistance. Each small test increases resilience and reduces anxious reactions. Patience turns problems into opportunities for learning. When the mind understands that not everything will be immediate and that each effort counts, anxiety loses ground and clarity increases. This preparation opens the way for the last lesson, which teaches us to live with purpose and focus. Patience is seen as an essential Stoic virtue for facing life's adversities. Developing patience and resilience helps reduce anxiety by improving the ability to cope with stress. Studies show that resilient people are at lower risk of developing anxiety disorders. Psychotherapist Donald J. Robertson observes that the practice of virtue strengthens the mind and reduces emotional vulnerability. Lesson number 10. Live with purpose and focus. Anxiety often arises from the feeling of lacking direction. Stoicism reminds us that clarity of purpose is like a lighthouse in the fog. It lights the mind and calms the heart. Knowing where you want to go, even in the face of challenges and distractions, brings peace. A practical way to apply this is to set 3 clear goals per day or per week, aligned with a larger purpose. It could be finishing a project, learning something new, or simply maintaining emotional balance. Revisiting these goals regularly helps the mind stay focused, avoiding distraction and excessive worry about what does not matter. When you live with purpose, every action gains meaning, and every challenge becomes learning. Anxiety decreases because the mind finds direction and meaning. With this, you close the cycle of the 10 Stoic lessons, ready to apply each teaching and dive deeper into personal transformation. Having a clear purpose and focusing on what is essential is fundamental to inner peace. Stoicism teaches us to live according to reason and nature, aligning actions with personal values. Research indicates that living with purpose is associated with lower anxiety and greater life satisfaction. Psychotherapist Donald J. Robertson emphasizes that the practice of virtue strengthens the mind and reduces emotional vulnerability. Think carefully. How many times have you let anxiety and worries decide for you while the real control was inside your own mind? Stoic wisdom teaches us that we can only change what is within our reach, our actions, choices, and reactions. Each of the 10 lessons you've learned is not just ancient philosophy, it is practical guidance to master your emotions, calm your mind, and live with clarity and purpose. Now the question is direct. Will you continue to be a prisoner of thoughts and feelings that do not serve you, or will you take control now, like a true Stoic? Choose one lesson, apply it today, and experience the power of acting with reason, courage, and discipline. Which one will be your first step to transform anxiety into focus and fear into action? Share in the comments, inspire others, and strengthen your own journey. And here's the final reminder. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Don't miss the chance to learn how Stoic principles can become practical strategies for your daily life. Master your reactions, strengthen your mind, and live each day with purpose. Because true freedom begins when you decide not to be a slave to your own mind anymore. Strength in the mind, peace in the heart.